presentation that we're going to see today. Transparency, compliance, convenience, ease of use, security, especially the word encryption, and the cloud. The digital age is defined as the time period starting in the 1970s with the introduction of the personal computer, with subsequent technology introduced, providing the ability to transfer information freely and quickly. After I did this definition, it's like, how many of you can repeat that and remember that? So I went to the internet. There you go. That's the digital age. It is the time when we used to sit across each other, have meetings, have coffee, have conversations. This was an image by Dr. Hunt that I found on the internet, and I just thought it was perfect. The digital age is where we talk through computers and devices. That is simply what the digital age is. Throughout the conference, and in the last speech with Bruce, we talk about all of these devices and the Internet of Things. For today's presentation, I want you to replace the word internet with cloud, or interchangeably. When I say cloud solutions, just think about solutions that are driven by the internet. When I say internet, it is the cloud. The cloud is simply a buzzword that suggests convenience of being able to access files from anywhere. That is simple definition of the cloud. But when we talk about the cloud or the internet, of course, all of these questions begin to, our brains start going, security, encryption, what is the cloud, where is this, where is our data? And one of the stories I want to tell you is, I heard this, I'm going to repeat it how I heard it, was the cloud terminology came from somebody's trying to depict how do you move your data from an on-premise solution to the cloud. And so on-premise basically means you have it on at your company premise, right? And so they had this paper and they were drawing and says, okay, imagine this is your building. And in the cloud computing, we will put you over here. But how do I put my office over here, which geographically is not located near to yours? So they just scribble a cloud. And I think that's how the cloud started. I'm repeating what I heard. Don't say it was my story. The world has found itself in a period of disruption driven by the internet. What does disruption mean? Disruption in today's economy is driven by information technology and the internet. Disruptors demonstrate that there's no industry that is not affected by technology, and barely any that have not experienced disruption in some way, shape, or form. Sorry. Forgive me for that. We're living in an age of unprecedented industry change, as industry are undergoing rapid and often unpredictable transformation. This accelerating rate of industry disruption is driving companies to adapt far more quickly to the changing business environment in order to survive. CEO of Cisco, John Chambers, said 40% of businesses will not exist in a meaningful way in 10 years. It will become a digital world that will change our life, our health, our education, our business models. Kodak was the Google of its day. All of you can relate to Kodak. Founded in 1880, it was known for its pioneering technology and innovative marketing. By 1976, Kodak accounted for about 85% of film and camera sales in America. Then came digital photography to replace film, and smartphones to replace cameras. Kodak's failure as a company to adapt to changing industry conditions have led to bankruptcy in 2013. This is an old image, but this is what replaced Kodak. Whilst Kodak is perhaps one of the best known examples Organizations in virtually every industry are having to adapt to these changes, driven by disruptive forces from digitization. The taxi service, one of the oldest and commonly used modes of transportation. Suddenly, the taxi service industry is finding itself being disrupted. The ride-sharing company Uber is taking market share from taxis and other traditional transportation and quickly transforming that market. Uber is revolutionizing the delivery of what we conventionally think of as a taxi service. Quick about Uber. Uber was founded in the US in 2009, and by the late 2015, just 6 years later, Uber is operating in 60 countries and 300 cities. How did Uber disrupt the transportation industry? Uber created a software app that was powered by the internet. How did they scale to 60 countries and 300 cities in less than 6 years from the time they were founded? Do we have Uber here in the Caribbean by any chance? So let me tell you what Uber is, and maybe just watch for when it's going to come out in your area. Its drivers can now download an app, register their car, and users can download that app and literally look on the phone and says, I want a taxi service. And you get somebody that pops up in an instant, so convenience, and says, a car is on the way. You know the name of the driver, you know the color of the car, the make of the car, and it tells you how far away it is. In addition, when you get into that car, there's no monetary transaction that happens, because you as a user would have signed up on that app, and then when you get into that car, you say thank you when you step out, and your credit card is charged. Convenience, ease of use. That's how they disrupted, and the tool that was disrupted was the internet. Retail industry. How many of us go shopping? In November 2015, the Wall Street Journal ran an article titled Retail Industry Undergoing Massive Disruption. It was an interesting read, as it attempted to identify the various factors that caused this shift. The disruptor was technology driven by internet. Do we all know that? Who is Amazon, and how did they do it? Was Amazon selling books at one time? What did they do, and how many industries did they disrupt, and how did they disrupt it? And not in one place, simultaneously. Whether we accept it or not, the retail industry is undergoing a huge shakeup. Business ecosystems are a major enabler of these newer retailers, allowing them to access talent, technology, and platforms on an as-needed basis. While traditional retailers usually sell only what they hold in inventory, ecosystems enable newer entrants to access and make available to customers a wider assortment of products. Again, I don't have to explain Amazon to you. If I would not ask you for a show of hands, but. All right, so I'm coming to something, an industry that directly affects most of you in this room, if not all of you. And I'm talking about financial management solutions. On-premise, by redefining that again, is a solution that you house in your company in a data room, and you're running all of the back office. Typically, businesses have multiple silo and disparate systems to manage your business, and more often than not, it looks like this. A typical company landscape includes, most if not all of those, an accounting software, which is your key source of records, your key system of records, such as QuickBooks, Sage, Great Plains, P3, AppBack. Payroll may be run by Paychex or ADP or one of your local providers. It's in another silo system that does not integrate with your accounting system. A journal entry goes in at the end of the month to book that transaction. Sales. Are you running a new CRM? Are you using Salesforce? Or are you still using Rolodex and paper to manage your customers? Inventory. Your inventory may be managed in your accounting system, but it might also be in a silo system. What this says is we have all of these disparate systems that each department is managed on a separate system. Accessing data becomes very difficult. For you to get inventory real-time information, you have to call the inventory department if you don't have it. To get details on payroll and real-time business intelligence, you have to go to a separate system. These are problems that businesses face today. We talked about disruptor. NetSuite. You heard the word NetSuite, solution provider at NetSuite. NetSuite excels at streamlining business operations and continues its success in delivering the best cloud ERP financial suites to business around the world as global adoption of cloud accelerates. Its powerful capabilities help companies achieve benefits such as improved financial operations, efficiencies, and productivity with a single integrated system to handle all core processes for users anywhere in the world. Timely financial close, centralizing management of all period and close activities to reduce time and resources spent investigating and resolving errors. Ongoing compliance with revenue recognition, tax requirements, and financial reporting in accordance with various accounting standards, including IFRS and GAAP, and other government regulations. And lastly, real-time visibility to see consolidated financial results as for any part of the business at a summary level as well as a detail level. NetSuite is the fastest growing top 10 financial management system globally for the third year straight, both by market share and revenue growth. How did NetSuite disrupt the financial market, the FMS market? The internet. NetSuite is the only 100% cloud software provider in the top 15 financial management solution in the world, globally. And that's how they disrupted that model. Because what they took is the problems that they saw from the very first slide we have, disparate silo systems, and what you face day to day. And they said, how are we going to resolve those issues? And that's what put them on that slide to be one of the top 10 financial management systems, but with them taking over market share. And I don't have to tell you the names that you see on that slide. You should be familiar with some of them. The idea that a company could put core financial systems in the cloud seemed far-fetched. The perceived risk of placing classified financial information into third-party hands, even far more unimaginable. But technology has changed perceptions and reality by quickly disrupting legacy business models. Companies are reaping benefits which once seemed implausible for businesses is now conceivable. Who is NetSuite? NetSuite is an American software company based in San Mateo, California. It was founded in 1988, and in 2007 it became a publicly traded company on the New York Stock Exchange. It is trusted by more than 30,000 organizations in 160 countries. NetSuite has more than 4,600 employees, and in fiscal year 2015 had $741 million. They're projected to have $1 billion in revenue by the year 2020. They have more than 40 recent IPO public companies using NetSuite. NetSuite is the name of the company, and it's also the name of the software, so it's used interchangeably. NetSuite cloud-based system integrates multiple modules to provide a comprehensive suite such as financial, customer relationship management, professional services automation, and e-commerce. All in one unified system, enabling everyone a single version of the truth. Ease of use, convenience, transparencies. That's what NetSuite did here. In the past, data was not real time. We can now access data real time. One unified system, one database. For global businesses, NetSuite offers multinational companies capabilities such as the ability to manage multiple subsidiaries, multi-currencies, multi-languages, and international tax requirements. What previously was a barrier to entry into other countries and other markets is no longer there. NetSuite has integrated all of those regulations from taxes, compliance, GAAP or IFRS into their solution. And simply put here, if I was in Belize and I wanted to do business in Jamaica or Barbados, I needed to go set up a new system in those countries, my own on-premise solution. Now it's all in the cloud. Let's talk some acronyms. What is ERP? ERP is an acronym for Enterprise Resource Planning. And the central feature of an ERP system is a shared database that supports multiple functions used by different business units. In practice, what that means is that employees in different divisions can rely on the same information for their specific needs. So salespeople don't have to call accounting to say, can I have a copy of that invoice? Because they have access to that. And customer care does not have to call sales or accounting to see what's the status of a payment or what if something has been shipped or the warehouse. Everybody has access to the same information real time. What is CRM? CRM is an acronym for Customer Relationship Management and is a term that refers to the practices, strategies, and technologies that companies use to manage and analyze customer interactions and data throughout the customer lifecycle. It helps with customer retention and driving sales growth. Graphically, you can see all of the details up there of all of the different areas that the CRM module will cover. In the past, CRM has always been an external silo system, and what NetSuite has done was to integrate that so everybody is in one system. E-commerce. Electronic commerce, or EC, is the buying and selling of goods and services over the internet. That's it. NetSuite allows integration of your existing websites, or you can create your own website in this software. A great feature of NetSuite that I thought I wanted to highlight here was customer and vendor portals. I'll give you a real-life example of it. So this is a system that allows your top customers and vendors to see their information real-time in the system. I work with a company called Wireless Matrix, and we used to sell the GPS device that does tracking. And we had one of our vendors who would do a lot of transactions. We sent 300-400 purchase orders to them every month. After we implemented NetSuite, we gave him access to the system. And so we no longer was sending him emails or mailing them. He logged into the same system because it was cloud-based. And he was able to see all of the purchase orders real time as we sent them over and said, this is available work for you. In addition, what happened is that when he was finished with his work, he didn't call us back in anymore. What the system let him do was to pull that purchase order and says, work is complete, put your notes in, all the things that we would have built behind. And when he hit save on that transaction, it fed an alert back to the dashboards of the people who needed to review and approve that transaction. In addition, he didn't mail an invoice to us anymore. He uploaded that invoice in the system. The AP department then got an alert that says you have a pending bill to approve. They opened that attachment that they had in the system, they looked at it and says, yes, 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 validate, and they hit save on the system. Data was not re-entered again. So the AP department no longer had to open a bill, scan a bill, attach it, put it away. It's paperless. And then what happened is she approves that for payment. And then the vendor wants to know, when am I going to get my check, and keep calling us. So you don't do that anymore. You log into the system and you say, I want to see what happened to these 200 invoices. And he could see the status of it that says 5 of them was rejected, 4 of them has been approved for payment, and maybe the next 150 of them, a check has been mailed out. Efficiency, convenience, ease of use, all by the cloud. Customers, the exact features available for your customers. If you have customers that has that same kind of model, that you have to keep sending them customer statements or status of invoices, or all of these functions that from a customer care perspective, sales perspective, give them access to the system. It's all included. So I've been talking about NetSuite. What is NetSuite? What is she talking about? How can I visualize it? It's a user interface, and that's what it looks like. It's very simple, very easy. We all have Facebook, we all have LinkedIn. You have a username and a password, and you go to a browser, and that's what shows up. Now that's customized for a company, but typically that's what your user interface looks like. NetSuite prides itself for its real-time interactive dashboard, and that's what on the screen is what you're looking at. Data is displayed in multiple windows called portlets, but what that allows us to do is to access direct data and display data that has been synthesized into critical business metrics, such as performance scorecards, key performance indicators, trend graphs, and snapshots. This was one of the top complaints of the executives, CEOs, CFOs, and managers, who need analytical information at their fingertips without having to send in and says, can you tell me, the comparison between this period and last period? What's happening with our sales projections? Are we going to meet it? Everything now is real time. As you ship at a location, as you invoice, these numbers change. I'm going to go in very quickly to give you a couple more features of NetSuite. So what you have here now is a different view, a dashboard from an employee's perspective. And one of the things that we like the most is the reminders that you see to the left of your screen. So you're coming in every day and you want to know, what is out there? What are the tasks that I have to complete? You know what I'm wondering. As soon as you log into the system, it will tell you all of those things that needs to be done. And I can attest that this was one of the features that I loved the most, because I'm in Belize today, and I can pull up my dashboard and I can see what's happening in any part of the world with all my entities. Because I could call in and I could say, why is it that we have 48 time records to approve and they're supposed to be approved yesterday afternoon? Because it shows up on my dashboard. And then somebody says, I just approved them, and if I just refresh my dashboard in seconds, it will say 0 to approve. So management has become very easy because of these. The ease of use with the software. You've got purchase orders. What's the status of my purchase order? All of those tasks that you see at the right-hand side is a drill-down feature. So now finding information, you don't have to wonder what those transactions are. You basically click on it, and it takes you down to the details of the transaction. So it will give me all of the purchase orders, all of the time cards. And if I want to go into each individual transaction, it takes me down further. To the right of it, what you see there is shortcuts to all of the activities a controller would have access. It's a role-based system, as well as an employee. We'll talk about security later on, and roles. A role is a defined access configuration. Think of this as defining your internal controls. All the fears that we saw in the last conversation, Bruce. Okay, so this is, sorry, I'm taking the fear down. So this is your internal control, and this is the aspect where all of the things that Bruce covered, the ones up there with the circle that says IP device, you can restrict what devices your employee accesses the system from. Okay? Rules can be customized with permissions that support segregation of duties based on company policy and guidelines. You can also see at a glance differences among multiple roles. Very easy to use, no IT experience, but this is your internal control where it comes in. To the right of it, you'll see NetSuite brings to you, based on best practices over the years, all of these roles, and it also gives you the defined permissions. But it allows you to come in and customize that based on your business. What you're looking at here is an order for a company. NetSuite establishes a smooth flow from sales quote to approved order to shipping to fulfillment and timely invoicing of a payment. All transactions are linked. There's no longer that worry of what order was this invoiced on, where can I find a payment, where can I find a shipment. Okay, finding transaction has been a real pain point for a lot of companies. And customer service for customers has been affected because of that. Now, a system like this, transactions are easily linked. So if you look at that sales order, you'll see that it has to the bottom, every transaction that was triggered off of that order would be linked at the bottom. So you basically open one transaction and you go what we call related records. This is another snapshot to show you how each type of transaction still links them. So for example, an item fulfillment, which is a shipment, you can track the order that it was on. If you only know the invoice number, you can track what order it was. Very easy, very convenient. If you find somebody calls in and says they want a payment, you can find that. During my 20-something plus years as working in accounting, and the last 7 years with NetSuite, this is one of the best features that I have had from clients who have implemented NetSuite. And as simple as the global search, but a lot of software, when you go to search for information, you have to move to different modules. So for example, if you're looking for customer information, you need to come out of the screen that you're in, and you need to go towards looking in the accounts receivable module, or go to the accounts payable for vendor information. What NetSuite did is says, we're not going to do that anymore. There's a little box called Global Search at the top, always available to you. And what you do is you type the information there. So whether you're the CEO, the sales rep, the accounts payable, the Global Search gives you the identical information because you're searching in one single database. And what they allow you to do there as well, one other feature is if you want to look for a customer and you don't remember their name, you can say, give me a customer that begins with AN. And it gives you all of those customers that has AN. So prefixes and suffixes. And then there's a wildcard, the percentage sign. If you don't remember, you says, use the percentage sign and says, give me anything that contains SH. And it brings those options in. This was the attempt to show you the details of a customer. Whether you have a customer in for 1 year or 5 years or 10 years. You can find every single interaction of that customer. This is where the CRM aspect comes in. You don't have to go look for different places. This shows you here that every transaction, every status of that customer can be seen in the same place. We can all relate to that. So you're no longer a salesperson, again I go back to, is on the phone and says, accounting, did you invoice this customer? Did they pay? Are they on credit hold? What's happening with this order that I shipped in? No, just log into your system and you will pull them up. And to the right, you'll see the status of these transactions. What did NetSuite do differently? How did they disrupt the market? They took pain points that affected people like you and me in all of these systems and says, we're going to attempt to solve them. That's how they took market share and revenue growth the last 3 years. This is my best. All of you will love this. So this is the audit trail in transactions, okay? So I'm a certified internal auditor and I've been on both sides of the table where the auditors come in with a PPC list and they say, I want all of these things and I want to see your transaction flow, and they come back with questions. Who created this? Who approved this? Who made this change? Can I have a copy of this? That everybody knows that in this room. What NetSuite did here is to say, don't ask me those questions anymore. I'm going to give you access to my system. Read-only access. So you can see all of those information. In addition to that, at the bottom, you will see that everything is time-stamped. Every keystroke that you do is time-stamped by the minute. And in addition, what it does, it keeps the old value and the new value. If you go into a transaction and you say, wait, I posted this to the July accounting period, how did it change to August? It's not a mystery anymore. You simply pick up the phone and say, Zalena, why did you change my posting period from July to August? Okay? It's all recorded. So again, what NetSuite did here was to take the needs, all of these requirements that they've seen across the board, best practices, and incorporated here. I'll tell you another personal experience for me. E&Y was in Canada. We were a Canadian public company, but we were operating in the US. So they will come down every year and spend 3, 4, 5 weeks with us. And when we moved to NetSuite, the end of the second year, they spent 1 week on the premises. So we saved a lot of money. We didn't have to pay hotel and food for that. That's cost saving. It hits your bottom line. But in addition, I did not have an entire team that sat down to give them copies and to prove all of these things. When they go into the system, when we talked about the linking, you trace transactions. So I want to see these purchase orders from the purchase order register. You pull the purchase order, and every transaction is all the way they can see. So they basically are going in and says, I did see this, I saw the invoice because it's uploaded. So everything is done. Transparency. I do like the auditors there though, but I want to save money, so. One of the problems in a lot of those systems is reports. We have to go create new reports. Can I see sales? Can I see a trial balance? Can I see details of my taxes? Can I see a timesheet? And you have to get somebody who can create reports in your system. What NetSuite has done is says, again, best practices from all of the companies. We're going to give you all of these reports, of which 80% of them fits into your business. So you don't have to go recreate the reports. Okay? And then you can now go in and customize these to as much more detail as you want. Another problem that they identified. This is a screenshot of a consolidated reporting. One of the things people ask is, how do I see what does the interface looks like? What can I do? Do I have to go get IT skill to create a report now? This shows that we have subsidiaries across the world, and they're all running in NetSuite. But I can run a balance sheet and income statement real time and get it there. And all I need to do to change the criteria when I'm running those reports is to the bottom, you'll see there's a little button called refresh. And you'll see some options. And it's not very clear, that's the only thing. So we'll talk separately and I can show you. But what happened is at the bottom, if I wanted to see just one entity, I just hit the drop down and I select it. And I hit that refresh button. So I can sit here in Belize again and see what's happening with all my companies around the world. Okay, so I'm not waiting for somebody to tell me what that is. To the bottom, left, right actually, you can export across NetSuite any transaction, any detail in any format. You hit PDF, you hit Excel, you hit Word. So exporting data now is very easy. In addition, NetSuite allows you to track, if you email a transaction to somebody, all of it is tracked in NetSuite. Every single action is tracked. So one of the things that I like is that if I send an income statement and a balance sheet to you, you said, well, I never sent it to you. I'm like, hey, yeah, I sent it to you last week at 12:15. Maybe you were at lunch. This is a help feature. Remember the sticky notes that we put with our passwords and the training that we jot notes on and then we take it back to our office and we don't remember how to create that invoice, we had to do something? So what NetSuite said here now is we're going to give you access step by step of how to do every transaction. And this is exactly what NetSuite used for their help. So they're passing that on to you. So if somebody new comes on, you basically go there and it's a click of a button into a module and it tells you how to create any transaction, how to do a deposit, how to create an order, how to do a shipment, step by step, including the workflows. So you don't have to worry now anymore about keeping that piece of paper that you made all of those notes on. Okay? So it's accessible at your fingertip real time. One of the unique features here as well is if you're working in the system and you are doing something with the banking and you don't, you come up with some problem, if you hit the help feature, it takes you directly to the module that you're working on. So you don't have to go sort through. Really amazing feature for that. I've been talking for a while. I think in this slide I need you to look at. I could have been bluffing. I'm not a salesperson, by the way. I'm not good at it. I'm a functional person. I'm an expert in the system and accounting. But look at those benefits. NetSuite is accustomed to delivering transformational benefits to thousands of organizations across different geographies and stages of growth. An independent study by SL Associates of NetSuite's existing clients found that NetSuite clients report the following benefits. I don't think I have to go into each one of those to tell you how that happened. Automation, efficiency, real time. Cash flows, we talked about DSOs, month-end close, the reduction. I will tell you stories directly. Again, I've used this system both as a user and a consultant, and there's a lot of customers, 30,000 customers that can attest to this. Most of these benefits, as I said, are direct results of improved financial operations, efficiency, and productivity derived from using a single integrated system. NetSuite is in every single market and every industry. Just to name a few who use NetSuite to manage their business. Snapchat. Don't know how many of you use Snapchat. It's a mobile messaging application used to share photos. Snapchat runs their business on NetSuite. GoPro, adventurous people. The company when they started, and they were very small. They were able to scale their business across globally using NetSuite. Lyft, which is a direct competitor of Uber. Uber's not here, but Lyft could be here too very soon, uses NetSuite. So Uber is in the transportation industry. Snapchat is the communication industry. GoPro is in multiple industries. And BlackBerry. BlackBerry just implemented NetSuite to manage their business. Let's go quickly through some terminologies. Software as a service. This is what you're going to hear, cloud computing. And simply what that is cloud computing shifts the IT burden from the customer to the cloud computing application vendor, which provides web access to applications as a service through a subscription pricing model. And you normally pay monthly or annually. Simply, your cell phone. Okay? It's a SaaS model. You go to your provider and you pay a fee and they give you the device and they have the software in the cloud and they handle everything in the back end and you just use your phone. That's what software as a service is. This is one I'm going to read a little bit because I want you to read that. NetSuite has met a host of audit and security standards. And this is the #1 questions people have. Who's having access to my data? How secure is my data? NetSuite SSAE 16 Type 2 and ISAE 3402 Type 2 audit is prepared by and audited by a Big 4 audit firm. It's an in-depth audit of NetSuite's control environment, including controls over data and network security, backup, restoration report essential to the process of reporting on the effectiveness of internal control over a company's financial reporting. Those SAS 17, ISAE, I'm sure that's ringing a bell to some people. NetSuite guarantees an SLA, which is a service level agreement of 99.5% uptime. What that means is that you can access that browser and NetSuite and your data 99.5% of the time. and an unprecedented ERP availability with an average, the uptime is 99.96%, together with complete performance transparency. The focus here is the security, data encryption, okay? I'm not going to get into the details of that because, as you know, those conversations can go really, really wide, but we're available to answer most of those. What I wanted here was NetSuite has public companies, so that's one testament that they're forced to make sure that they have security, uptime. They're international, they're global. They have to make sure that they're complying with standards internationally. I saw this slide, and I thought this was an easy, quick way to describe the SaaS model. And then, so if I go through this very quickly, you'll see that the on-premise solution is like owning a car, okay? The infrastructure as a service is you're no longer buying your car, you're leasing your car. The platform as a service is saying, I don't want to own the car, I'm going to lease it, and I want to pass the responsibility of insurance, car, and garage to you. So you're paying somebody else. Remember the outsourcing concept. Software as a service basically is saying, I don't want to do anything. I don't want to worry about security. I don't want to worry about enhancements. I don't want to worry about patches. You guys are the technical people. I'll pay you one fee and you do that. That's what software as a service is. And this slide very quickly, one of the things, the most asked questions is, how do you compare the total cost of ownership to an on-premise solution to one that's going to a SaaS solution? And 90% of the time, people will tell you, I pay on Great Plains $10,000 a year, and they go and they compare that with the pricing of a SaaS solution. But you can't compare that. You have to do apple-to-apple comparison. And what you're looking at is all of the various factors that you're really outsourcing. So in doing a comparison of pricing to make sure that you're comparing equally and making that right decision, think about the real estate, the utilities, the data room that you have, the security, the backup, the full-time person. Take all of those into consideration when you are equating a SaaS solution to an on-premise solution. I'm going to run through a few things quickly. Second most asked question is, how much does it cost? And it's the most difficult question to answer, because all of those features and functionalities that you just heard me talk about, that's what the price depends on. Again, go back to your cell phone. You can call your provider and says, I want international access or I don't. The pricing changes. I want this gigabyte of storage or I want less. That's exactly how a SaaS model works, whether it's NetSuite or any software as a service model. It depends on what features and functionalities you're using. It depends on the size of your organization. One of the key things I want to tell you here is you can have a 200-person organization, but only 40 of them are full-time users. But you could also have a 200-employee organization and all 200 are using them. The pricing is completely different. So that's the part I wanted to get to, is that I cannot give you a price. And then the last part of it is some companies, all those features that I described, NetSuite allows you to get that. But however, some companies might specialize and be larger and says, I want to do more project accounting. I want to track time in detail and projects and costing. Or some people says, I want to track my inventory by serial and by barcoding and when I'm running low. You go to those modules. So just to help you cut that conversation when you ask me, can I give you a price? I can give you a price, but I'll ask you 5 questions. Very quick again, the SaaS evaluation model. My only advice in this is if you decide to go to a SaaS model from an on-premise, make sure you go through the following steps. What happens is you do a complete system evaluation of your current systems, and then you evaluate the SaaS solutions that you're going with. Key in this is making sure the solution provider that you are going to go with security compliant, okay? And then make sure that they can demo that product for your company. So for example, we take that information from you and show you how those processes will work. Make sure you do that, ask all of your questions. Then make your decision to go to the solution that you want on the cloud. The last part of it here, which is key, people always ask, so how long does it take? What is that process? It's no different from an on-premise solution. What they give to you is the software, and we customize that to your business, and these are the 4 steps that you really go through. We come in and we go through detail with your company, and that's the workflow that we design in the system. We give you, the employees and the users, to test the system. Drive that car, break it, ask all of the questions before we take you live into production. Next step is when you're all satisfied, we take you live. To summarize, you heard the word Zcloud a lot. Who is Zcloud? So Zcloud is a NetSuite solution provider. We're headquartered in Washington, DC, and we're coming to the Caribbean. We're authorized solution providers for the Caribbean and South America. What that means is NetSuite is a public company, and you cannot just resell your products. We all know that. We are authorized to sell in the Caribbean and South America. We also work directly with NetSuite. Our model is all of your contracts are signed directly with NetSuite. So you're getting that comfort level that you're not signing it with a company that you're not sure with. Globally, that's what happens. That's their model. We work with them directly. If tomorrow morning we come with you and you say you're interested to work with their people, their technical and functional consultants, we make that choice. So we do license, implementation, and support directly with NetSuite. In addition to that, we have alliance partners. And what are alliance partners for us? This is such, the features and functionalities are so different based on industries. So what we do is we have got people who have already done this system for large, medium, and small companies. And so we've partnered with them. And you get that choice as we start going through your business requirements to say, do you know what? I would suggest that you go with an alliance partner because they have done this and it's experience. Or let's just go with NetSuite, or let's go with a hybrid solution. And the last one is the country partners. What we're doing is we presently are working with someone in Jamaica, Trinidad, and Guyana, and we're looking to come into all of the islands. Accounting firms, audit firms, we're looking to work with you. And the main reason for that is specifically that's Zcloud's policy or strategy is, I don't want to ship people down from the US that doesn't know your business. I want to work with the people you already trust. So when we go through this business workflow and we start to consult with you, you are using your own people, your auditors, your accountants who knows your business. They have your best interests at heart. So we will work with you from an advisory position as well as implementation. So we will train your staff as well to do most of the on the ground. So you're working together with the NetSuite, either alliance partners or our country partners. And just to summarize, companies need to think and operate like startups. They have to be responsive or run the risk of being disrupted. Today, opportunities are global, and customers expect every business, regardless of size, to deliver big company service. Data is a huge weapon, and it's becoming more important than ever with emerging trends like the Internet of Things. Every company is and needs to be thinking like a cloud company. Let's go to the beach.
Thank you so much, Ms. Khan. I'm going to invite Mr. Madania up to give a token of our appreciation. I just want to make mention that all these baskets were made by Beltrade. Be careful. Were made by Beltrade, and they all feature all Belizean products. So you'll get baskets. The world, and no doubt our Caribbean region, has become even more susceptible to the